Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today we'll be covering Classic X-Men number 39, published in 1989 by Marvel Comics. This is part of the Dark Phoenix saga, and again, this was an X-Men reprint book from the 80s into the 90s. So by issue 39, we had gone away, Marvel had moved away from the addition, including the additional material intermixed in the stories to try and flesh them out. And instead, at this point, they were still including the front piece artwork, which is nice, and an additional story by another creative team. So this issue has an amazing cover by artist Steve Lytle, fantastic artist with a very storied career in the industry. Passed away some time ago, sadly, as I mentioned on the show before. But this is an incredible cover featuring Wolverine and some Hellfire Club agents with a very cool Dark Phoenix corner piece here, just the Phoenix Force. And our front piece is another Lytle job, this time featuring Nightcrawler, very cool. So this reprints the classic X-Men 133, the issue that many people believe really put Wolverine on the map. I would argue his trajectory was arrow up all the way up to this point, but this one is just kind of the culmination of Claremont and Byrne's transformation of Wolverine into a superstar character in the book. So let's get into it here. Wolverine alone is plotter and scripter Chris Claremont, John Byrne, plotter and penciler, Terry Austin inker, Tom Orzechowski letterer, and Glynis Oliver colorist. And then a backup story called Briggs' Revenge with Ann Nocenti as the writer. Jim Lee is a penciler, some very early X-Men work from Jim Lee. Not his first X-Men work, but early stuff. His first issue had occurred a few months before this. Joe Rubenstein inking, Jim Novak letterer, Greg Wright colorist. And then Steve Lytle, of course, is our cover artist and front piece artist. Jim Salicrop is the original editor, Darryl Edelman, the assistant editor, Bob Harris, the editor, and Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief by this time at Marvel. So at this point where the X-Men have been overcome by the Lords Cardinal, the Hellfire Club, Wolverine was swept away after having his mast increased many hundreds of times by Harry Leland. He had dropped through the floor into the sewers and was washed away and seemingly left for dead. But, of course, he is not. Our story opens in a sub-basement far below New York's legendary Hellfire Club. The masked, uniformed men with the guns are part of an elite mercenary cadre employed by the ultra-secret inner circle of that club. They're killers, pure and simple, believed to be the best in the world. Man, this is silly. We've been searching these basements for over an hour, hunting a mutie who's probably dead. Wolverine went into a storm sewer, right? It was like a flash flood down there. If the fall didn't kill him, the water had to. We're wasting our time, another adds. And we see great working of the title into the terrain here with Wolverine alone on the back of this crate. And we can see our hero in that classic pose between the beams of the ceiling. Awesome. Just above them. And even if he did survive, so what? The inner circles captured the rest of the X-Men. Wolverine's just one man. How much can he do? Huh? Water? And the jig is up as Wolverine is discovered. There ain't no pipes in here. How come we got a leak? Murray, all of you, the ceiling. Surprise! The mercenaries react with desperate, deadly speed. Angelo, he's coming for you. It doesn't save them. Neither does their skill. Wolverine never stops, never slows, each move bending in a frightening display of destruction. He's doing what he does best and having the time of his life. And this guy screams, "Yar!" It's just incredible synthesis of script and art and color on this sequence here. It's just one of the most amazing sequences in the history of the X-Men, and it really is the thing that solidifies Wolverine as the superstar character that he was going to grow to become. Way to go, Wolverine thinks. I've been in better roughhouses. The odds are only 3-1. Make that 2-1. But I ain't complaining. And I think this is really the first time that Wolverine actually uses his claws openly on a non-robotic target. Like he's actually cutting these dudes, which is unusual. Now, there was a sequence in, I think, X-Men 115 where or 116, where Wolverine takes out a guard in Zaladain's Citadel in the Savage Land, and it's implied that he uses his claws on him, but it isn't shown. So here we're seeing it. These twerps are just small fry, though. The ones I want are their bosses. Uh-oh. And Wolverine here gets shot with one of their automatic weapons. He's down, Cole, and he ain't moving, is he? I don't know. Stay back and cover me. I'm positive I hit Wolverine dead center, but after what I've seen tonight, I'm taking no chances. So Wolverine lies still beneath these crates, and the man named Cole moves forward. Blast! I'll have to shift some of these crates to get a clear shot. That's bringing me a lot closer to Wolverine than I had in mind. Stay alert, Rosen. If he blinks an eye, kill him. Hey! You know what, buddy? I think the little runt is dead. Your mistake, bub. The little runt lives, which is more than I can say for you. No! Shock as he cuts another one down. Wolverine thinks to himself on the next page. That was close. Almost too close. If I hadn't spun away, when this guy fired his burst, he would have cut me in two instead of simply creasing my side. Only one goon left. Don't move, fella. He's scared. Can't say as I blame him either. Let's see if I can make him feel worse. Hey, bub, I know what you're thinking. He's hurt, and he's 5 meters away from me, and I got a full clip of ammo in my rifle. Question is, can I kill Wolverine before he can reach me and cut me into shish kebab with those freaky claws of his? Well, bub, Wolverine is virtually unkillable. Wolverine's claws are adamantium, the strongest metal known, capable of slicing through vanadium steel like a hot knife through butter. And 5 meters of floor ain't much distance at all for me. It's your play, hero. I'm waiting. And then clunk, the guard drops his rifle. Shoot, Wolverine says. I was hoping you'd go for it. What are you doing? Stay back. I give up. I surrender. No, please, no! Awesome shot here of Wolverine closing that distance in a microsecond. I've mellowed some since joining the X-Men. In the old days, I would have given this punk a choice. Or I wouldn't have given this punk a choice. Be cool, bub. I ain't gonna kill you. I ain't even gonna hurt you much. Provided you tell me all there is to know about the Hellfire Club hotshots who clobbered the X-Men. Great sequence here, showing Wolverine's preternatural strength, speed, aggressiveness, and overall resilience. Just incredible. And it ends with him obviously extorting all the information he can from this Hellfire Club goon. So now we shift scenes to the other X-Men. 4 of them at least are held captive by the Hellfire Club. Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, all held captive with their powers currently neutralized. And we see among the Lords Cardinal, the inner circle of the Hellfire Club, we see Jean Grey as the Black Queen. She has fallen under the sway of Mastermind in his guise as Jason Wyngarde, who has been able to somehow project his illusions directly into her mind. And it's still not clear by this point in the story how he's doing it, but he's been creeping around the X-Men for months and months now, and he's finally pulled off the major coup that he's been after and gotten control of the ultra-powerful Jean Grey / Phoenix, and he's warped her mind. The chairman of the Inner Circle is Sebastian Shaw, also a mutant. Beside him stand Leland and Pierce, one a mutant, the other a cyborg, part human, part robot. So we have our cast of villains here, along with Wyngarde and the Black Queen / Jean Grey / Phoenix. And here there's some interplay going on because Shaw realizes that what a danger Phoenix is if she is controlled by Wyngarde and part of his inner circle. Congratulations, Wyngarde. We have done well tonight. And then Shaw thinks to himself, this knave's arrogance is matched only by his ambition. Through his precious Black Queen, Wingard thinks to eventually seize control of the inner circle. But if he thinks Sebastian Shaw will be an easy conquest as the X-Men, he's in for a surprise. Meanwhile, Wingard is thinking pretty much the same way, that he's going to use the Black Queen, use Jean Grey to take control of the inner circle. And meanwhile, we get a little insight into what Jean Grey is seeing in her altered state here. As in this awesome panel, we see the X-Men as they appear in real life, and then through Jean Grey's muddled perceptions, we see that she is actually seeing them in the past. And Cyclops thinks, thanks to Mastermind, Jean believes she's physically shifting in time, reliving the life of an 18th century ancestor. Everything she sees, including us, is in terms of the 1700s. This ancestor, Lady Jean Grey, wife of Sir Jason Wingard, knows nothing of the X-Men. Her allegiance is to the Hellfire Club. If they ask her to kill us, I have a nasty feeling she'll do it without a second thought. And you can see here Jean Grey confronts Aurora's Storm. And basically, Storm is confused because she doesn't have Cyclops' insight into Jean Grey's inner thoughts, because it's going to be described here. Cyclops has a rapport with Jean Grey that she forged last issue. If only I could see, locked inside this ruby quartz helmet, I can only guess at what's going on. And Cyclops hears what happens. He hears Jean Grey callously striking Aurora, her dearest friend. The helmet may neutralize my optic blast, but not my brain. I can't physically act, but I can think. I remember the butte near Angel's Arizona home. A week ago, Jean was telling me about her time slips and recent dramatic upsurges in her power as Phoenix. That frightened her, and me too, and yet it fascinated her as well. It's weird having your psychokinetic talent hold back the power of my optic blasts. I wanted to see your face, all of your face. Disappointed? Scott asks as he remembers this sequence from the previous issue. No, Scott, I'd like to establish a permanent rapport, a psychic bond between us. Part of me in your head, part of you in mine. I know I'm asking a lot. Total sharing, total intimacy, total trust. I'll understand if you say no. I say yes. So this is going to be key to what transpires as this issue flows along. Meanwhile, Shaw gives up the game here. Why the Inner Circle is so interested in the X-Men specifically. Among other things, superpowered mutants are becoming commonplace in this world. If my associates and I can isolate the genetic quirk that created us, and then custom build through genetic engineering mutants at will, the possibilities are limitless. In that quest, Nightcrawler, you X-Men will be our guinea pigs. You know, in a sense, it would have been better for you if we had killed you. So very sinister from Sebastian Shaw, and who I might add is from Pittsburgh, my hometown. So he has that distinction along with one of my favorite Ham and Egger villains, the illustrious Anaconda from the Serpent Society. Meanwhile, we're going to shift to an interlude here. It's dawn over Muir Isle, and for once the sea is calm around this forbidding barren rock located just north of Scotland's Cape Wrath, all of 500 miles below the Arctic Circle. In many ways, the island mirrors the persona of the woman who owns it, remote, beautiful, elemental, unyielding. When she first arrived here, and for too many years after that, Moira McTaggart lived alone. Now her hermitage is over. She has someone to share her work and her life, someone she loves and who loves her. His name is Sean Cassidy, and as the Banshee, he used to be an X-Man. So he was injured back in the Moses Magnum story months ago, and so he's had to retire early from the X-Men. and he is living a good life here with Moira McTaggart on Muir Isle. But things are not all good, because Moira McTaggart had recently done some tests on Jean Grey, the Phoenix, and learned some very troubling things. Sean Love, as Phoenix, Jean realized her ultimate potential as a Psi. She possessed the power of a god, but only the experience and awareness of a young woman. She couldn't cope with that totality of power. I doubt anyone on Earth could. So, to protect itself from itself, her mind engaged a series of psychic circuit breakers that cut her power back to a level she could handle. But lately, someone or something has been releasing those breakers. There are almost none left. Jean's once more tapping near infinite power levels. Is there nothing we can do, Moira? We can pray. So again, this is leading up to some very dire events in the Dark Phoenix saga. We're going to shift again, this time to the Arizona home of the Angel. Great sequence here from our art team of Angel flying with the moon against him here. Just an awesome silhouette shot. And then he swoops in. Really few people draw Angel as well as Byrne, man. He really does a great job. Even the Champions issues where Angel appears, he looks incredible. And here under Byrne and Austin's direction, he looks amazing. Awaiting him on the veranda is the X-Men's founder, their teacher and mentor, Professor Charles Xavier. Evening, Professor. I guess I'm not the only case of insomnia tonight. Professor, you've been on edge ever since Cyclops took the X-Men to New York to confront the Hellfire Club. He left you behind. Is that what's bugging you? He had good reason. If the team is following a false lead, then no harm's done. If they hit pay dirt, and heaven forbid run into trouble, you'll be safe, free to carry on the fight. I should be with the X-Men, Angel, monitoring their progress, aiding them in battle, as I did with the original X-Men. I feel so helpless. I still cannot reestablish my mental rapport with the team. I won't know what's happening to them until it's too late. From the beginning, I've trained Cyclops to take my place as leader of the X-Men. But when that day finally came, I found I resented it, and him. That resentment caused me to make some terrible mistakes, Angel. I fear innocent people will suffer because of them. So we have a little insight into Xavier's struggles here with his disability, being wheelchair bound and not really able to participate in full-on X-Men mission action. So it's a little character wrinkle there. Even this so far along in Xavier's long career as mentor of the X-Men, he still has misgivings about having to wait on the sidelines. Meanwhile, what's become of Wolverine? We'll see. Ominous words whose meaning will soon become apparent. First, it's time to return to the Hellfire Club, where we find that institution's anniversary party, attended by some of the wealthiest, most influential people in America, if not the world, still going strong. So we have these two servants talking about how the party's going, and they mentioned that Kelly, the presidential candidate, I didn't know he was a member of the club. He isn't. He's Mr. Shaw's invited guest. So so Senator Kelly, the X-Men's political nemesis, is here as well. And that's this is gonna set up kind of incidents that will pay off much later on toward the end of the Byrne Claremont run. And meanwhile, in this dumbwaiter, sounds like the coast is clear. About time too. Main floor, everybody out. Using this dumbwaiter to get out of the basement wasn't a bad idea. That way, I bypass all the guards. There's a time for scrapping and a time for being sneaky. Either way, Wolverine's the best there is. That goon I questioned wasn't much help, so I've been following Nightcrawler's scent. I'm starting to pick up traces of the other X-Men as well. Trouble is, they're leading me up to the second floor, and my dumbwaiter don't go that high. No stairways in this hall. The only way I'm going to get upstairs is by cutting straight across this dance floor, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that without making a fuss. Great sequence here as suddenly Wolverine is not alone. Freeze, sucker. Whoops, he thinks to himself. Great panel here. Just awesome. Now, back upstairs with the Hellfire Club Inner Circle and the imprisoned X-Men. We have the corpulent Leland kind of trying to make time with the Black Queen. You're far more vivacious and exciting than your predecessor, the White Queen. I like that. I'm glad, Squire Leland. I like you. So, Cyclops gets a load of this. You can hear what's going on. He's not happy. Jean's flirting with them all. Mastermind's given her the instincts of a minx. But I can't. I daren't think about that. I've got to focus on the job at hand, nothing else. If I can reach Jean through our private rapport, maybe I can shatter the time slip illusion Mastermind has created. It's a long shot, Cyclops knows, an all-or-nothing gambit, but he has no alternative. For a long time, to Cyclops, an eternity, nothing happens, and then the face mask, it's gone. I'm wearing my visor again. I can see. My gamble's paying off. So here in this sequence, Cyclops finds himself projected into Jean Grey's mind through the rapport that she set up in the previous issue. So even though he's not a psychic, he still has a doorway into his lover's mind, and he takes it and walks through it. And as he walks through it, he becomes part of her altered reality, and here he is dressed appropriately. What? My clothes. My uniform's changed into some sort of Revolutionary War outfit. Then suddenly, he sees Jean Grey in her guise as the Black Queen. And he's trying to reason with her. Try to remember, I'm Scott Summers. We're lovers, you and I. We're X-Men. And then suddenly Wingard is there. You're wasting your time, boy. Neither you nor your precious X-Men mean anything to my lady wife. Be gone from this place, Sirrah, or my husband will cut you down where you stand. And Cyclops knows who it is. Mastermind! So great use here by Byrne, who's always been one to use an open panel here and there. He uses it here. And when Cyclops it just enters her mind, he's kind of just in white space. It's a cool way for Byrne and Austin to kind of save on time because Byrne was working on multiple different books at this point. But it also, again, fits the story. So it's a good device. And so here, Cyclops is going to do battle with Jason Wingard in this sword fight within Phoenix's mind. En garde, Sir Jason. Oh ho! The stripling bares his fangs and imitates the action of the tiger. Poor boy, you've played right into my hands. Interesting, the action of the tiger was this title of the Proteus, one of the Proteus stories 4 or 5 months before this issue came out. I've known of your precious rapport from the moment it was established. I knew you'd try to reach Jean through it. In fact, I was counting on you doing precisely that. But how? You've never possessed these kind of psychic powers. Let that remain my secret, Cyclops. When I slay you in this duel, your rapport, Jean Grey's final link with the X-Men, and the virtuous life she once led will be severed. So here, Mastermind has laid a trap for Cyclops. Cyclops has stumbled into it, and only bad can come of this, and we're going to see that as we go on. I went for broke that time, and he parried my attack easily. He's toying with us, positive he can kill me whenever he feels like it, and I'm afraid he may be right. Meanwhile, last we checked in with Wolverine, he had a gun to his head. Let's see how that resolves. At this point, let's return to Wolverine and the guard. Hands on your head, fella, and no fast moves or, ow, bub, where fast moves are concerned. You don't know the meaning of the words. Great. The crowd's already spooked. This ought to panic them for sure. Maybe I can turn that to my advantage. Watch out! Again, Wolverine's showing just incredible strength here, hurling this guard across the room. Keep calm, folks. Stay out of my way, and you won't get hurt. Back, everyone, back! Let security handle this. Another costume maniac. What's happening here? Where's the Secret Service? At all costs, Senator Kelly must be protected, and here's Kelly in the foreground. Hold it, mister. This is as far as you go. Come peacefully, little man, or in pieces. Your choice. You want me, bub? Then come and get me. Great sequence here with Wolverine being overwhelmed by sheer numbers, but still using a palm strike. And with his adamantium bones, I'm sure this hits like a sledgehammer. If you can, he says. I'd better cool it with my claws against these bozos. They might be inner circle mercenaries, but they might also be legit club employees, or rent-a-cops, or even Secret Service. Carving them up could create more hassles than it solves. So again, Wolverine isn't just a killing machine, a mindless killing machine. He shows resolve, he shows reserve here, and doesn't use his claws on these guys. But the odds against Wolverine start out bad and quickly get worse, and he soon disappears beneath a veritable avalanche of costumed, club-wielding bodies. So it looks like he may be overwhelmed here. Meanwhile, Cyclops is fighting a losing battle against the more skilled swordsman mastermind / Jason Wingard. Suddenly, my sword! If I were a chivalrous man, Cyclops, I would allow you to surrender, but I am not chivalrous. And our duel was to the death. And he runs him through here. Arr! Great little sequence there. And our issue ends splash page. You were a noble, valiant foe, Cyclops, all a hero could hope to be. But in this case, the best man won. And so now we're back out of the mind world into the real world here, and we see Cyclops lying seemingly dead at the feet of the X-Men in the inner circle. My friends, what happened? Colossus asks. Cyclops was all right a moment ago. Then he gave a great cry and collapsed, Aurora says. Finally, Nightcrawler says, he lies so still, Storm, Colossus. His chest isn't moving. He isn't breathing. Cyclops is dead. And then, next issue, Too Late, The Heroes, a prologue to disaster. So that will be an interesting development in the Phoenix Saga coming up in the next issue. Meanwhile, in this issue, we have our second story, which is an awesome early Jim Lee X-Men joint called Briggs' Revenge. It opens up with a great little splash page of Storm flying, using her powers in an awesome civilian outfit here. Great design here. Looks like it came right out of Vogue. Very cool. Storm is an X-Man, a mutant blessed with the gift of riding the winds and controlling weather about her. But mutant X-Men are generally considered outlaws, and their identities are secret. So why does she fly the skies of Manhattan for all to see? Because it's a glorious day, and sometimes a girl just can't resist. So Storm is flying into New York for a day away from the X-Mansion, and she lands in this alley here, and she does not land unobserved. Someone is watching from the shadows, a rather scruffy-looking figure. And Storm thinks to herself, well, no one saw me land. No one will be the wiser. But this guy saw her, and he thinks, she can fly. Maybe she's a mutant like me. Maybe she can help me. Oh, I hope she's nice. So he's following after her to talk to her. And she's walking along the street now with a lot of people around. And meanwhile, this very posh dude is getting out of this limo. And he thinks to himself, how elegant. Meanwhile, this guy, Briggs, runs up behind Storm. Hello, excuse me, but I'd really like to talk to you. Storm thinks to herself, oh, how annoying. Go away. Who does he think he is? Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Billy Briggs, and I'd like to meet... And then Storm just walks right by him as he's bowing and introducing himself. You... Hey, where'd you go? Hey, not so fast. Lady, I was talking to you, introducing myself, and you just walked off. Why, oof. And then suddenly the posh guy, the gentleman, pushes Briggs down. Doesn't probably realize what danger he's in. Leave the lady alone. Can't you see you're bothering her? And Briggs thinks to himself as he gets up, she's smiling at him. Thank you, that was very gallant of you. It was nothing for a beautiful woman such as you, anytime, anywhere. And Briggs is really angry now. He thinks to himself, she's flirting with him. Oh, I see. Just 'cause the rich oil slick con man is dressed nice and handsome, she smiles at him, while old Billy is a little too ugly and messy for her. No, this mutant lady wouldn't help me. She's as prejudiced as the rest. I hate her. I could kill them both right now, but I won't. I'll do worse. Her breezy, carefree ways, her enjoyment of life, that's what I'll steal from her. This is the last day she'll ever enjoy. Goodbye. Hope to see you soon, the gentleman says to Storm as she walks away. One never knows. So, and later, at their mansion, the X-Men relax with a little yard work. So the X-Men apparently do yard work in costume, which is, whatever. Maybe it's a training exercise but I've actually seen other sequences like at the beginning of X-Men 140 entitled Rage, where Cyclops is doing yard work in normal civilian clothes. So be that as it may, here we are. Colossus, you're such a show-off. Bet you a case of brewskis you can't do it, Wolverine says. And you are on, Wolverine. Huh, look at you strain and groan. You'll never do it. I can taste that cold one now. And Cyclops rips the tree up from its roots. And Storm uses her winds to take it from his hands and clear it away. Thank you, Storm. All right, my man, Wolverine says on the next page. Tell you what, give me a shot at winning that case back. Colossus says, maybe. I say this log is firewood in 30 seconds. Stacked? Stacked. You are on, my friend. So, as we can see them in the working on the tree in the background here on this next panel, we can see Briggs has followed Storm home, and he is ready to wield his powers. And I'll stop here for a second and just say that this is some pretty awesome Jim Lee artwork. Early Jim Lee X-Men, super solid. Hasn't yet reached the height of his powers, but he is getting there in this sequence. And the Joseph Rubinstein inks are very nice as well. So this is a cool little preview of what we're going to be seeing from Jim Lee when he takes over the X-Men in a few months after this. Briggs thinks to himself, well, look at all this love and camaraderie. So you care about these guys, lady friend? That's the edge I needed. So Wolverine is working on cutting the tree into firewood when Briggs from off panel in this next sequence here blows their car up with a blast from his powers. I thought I smelled something. It is that man who bothered me in the city today. You know this guy? Wolverine asks. Nobody move. I could disintegrate any of you in a heartbeat, but I'm only going to kill one. Okay, lady friend, you choose. It should be easy. You're used to choosing between men. One of your pals lives, the other dies, but you choose. Well, this is some angry incel energy here, let me tell you. You have 5 seconds. Choose and live with your choice the rest of your life. Great sequence here by Jim Lee. Look at that Kirby crackle there. Storm thinks to herself, choose? How can I choose which friend dies? Oh, bright lady. None of us could reach him fast enough. That car is dust. Not even Peter's armor could survive such a blast. Not even my winds could topple him before one of us is disintegrated. No way out. I have to choose. Peter, so sweet, so innocent. I cannot. Wolverine, what instinct should I follow? Great sequence here, an interesting panel arrangement as we have this larger panel of Storm looking straight on and then her in these two inset panels glancing side to side, once at Colossus, once at Wolverine. And she continues to think on the next page. Do I let the better fighter survive for the sake of the X-Men? Which would best understand? Be hurt less? Who's the better man? No! These thoughts are horrid. X-Men do not make choices like this. Wolverine is lighter, faster. There's a chance he could dive away and survive such a blast. Maybe I am issuing his death sentence, but it is my only choice. Wolverine's looking at me. He knows. Great shot of Storm here. Very beautiful, awesome flowing hair and wonderful facial features. Just great. And Briggs yells, come on, don't be fickle. Choose your man. Great shot of Wolverine here, just resolute, quiet, waiting his fate. I choose Wolverine. Well, guys, you heard the lady. And this panel here is really almost Mike Mignola-esque in just how it looks. Very cool. And on our next page, awesome half-page shot of Wolverine just getting blasted by this guy's power and crying out. "Ah!" Foosh is the sound effect. He leaped away. Looks like he needs another blast. But Colossus isn't waiting. He picks up a piece of the tree and cow, in a great sequence here, he knocks this guy out in an open panel. Very cool with the woods in the background there. And then Storm lifts him into the air with her winds. He is firing wild. We need to pin those fists. Just drop him, Storm. Right here. He's mine, Wolverine says. Torn up and beaten and smoking, but still alive. And Storm drops him to the ground. Whomp, and a great long vertical panel here. Totally awesome. Very reminiscent of one of those Paul Smith panels. And Colossus has him pinned with his arms and his hands to his head. So if he would use his disintegration power, well, you know how that would go. Now it's your turn to choose, Wolverine says. You can die by my claws or use those fists to fry your own brains. Snicked. Wolverine, he is a human being, evil perhaps, but we do not know what has made him this way. He reached out to me for help today, and I ignored him. I am perhaps as guilty of wrongdoing as he. Let us bring him into the mansion. Perhaps Jean can help with this sad creature. Right. Just get him out of my face, Colossus, before I change my mind. Logan, you do understand why I had to choose you. Yeah, good choice. Logan, forget it. I'm going to go get a beer. And something quiet and unspoken passes between them here, and it's Briggs did succeed in destroying something here. Although it's not complete because the bond between Storm and Wolverine will only grow in strength over the years, but it is kind of a very interesting interplay between them. Colossus asks, Storm, are you all right? And she doesn't answer. And Briggs thinks to himself, looks like I won, lady friend. And that's the end. Very dark little story and brilliantly done. Yeah, very cool. So yeah, this was classic X-Men number 39. I think really one of the best periods of this title, when they got away from that sort of intrusive extra material that changed the nature of the original stories and just had backup stories from great talents. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe and tell your friends. And I'll bring you more soon on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.